Welcome, everyone. I'm Waikit Lau, co-founder and CEO of RemoteHQ and investor in various crypto projects. It's a pleasure to welcome John Wu, president of Ava Labs, today. We've got lots to talk about. And maybe to start, John, why don't you give us your background?
Absolutely, but Waikit, it's a pleasure. Is the second Redefine with 10X, and thank you to you and Ty. It's always a pleasure to do this. Hopefully one day we can not only do it virtually, but actually in real life. It'll be just as much fun, if not more fun. Well, my background actually, my first part of my career, I was in traditional finance. I was a hedge fund manager in technology, investing in both public and private companies. And currently I'm president of Ava Labs. Ava Labs, the team behind Avalanche, and one of the fastest, most scalable blockchains out there. Our mission is to tokenize the world's assets and to create access basically for all individuals to get access to those hard to find alternative, either private securities or funds. And I fell in love with this space because I thought the blockchain technology was something that I can actually rewire, restructure the entire financial services industry and create that access for individuals.
That's awesome. And I think most people, if not all, who are watching, probably somewhat familiar with Avalanche. But for those who may not be deeply familiar, it would be great if you could give an overview of Avalanche and its unique features.
Sure. There's a whole bunch of unique features. I mean, the technology is probably one of the most innovative technologies. But to mention a few, it's got instant finality. So settlement and payment happens at the same time. It's very fast. But I think one thing that's really, and this panel is basically titled Bringing Financial Institutions into the Blockchain with Subnets. So one thing I have to mention is the subnet architecture helping Avalanche scale. And effectively what that does is allows all developers and coders to actually customize their own blockchain to the specs they would need. And it's done in a way and provided in a way so that's almost completely do it yourself. So if you are, for instance, I'll give you an example. If you are a financial services firm and you really need a certain customization because rules and regulations are different and applicable in different geographies and different financial laws and requirements, obviously AML, KYC, that can be done in a customized way with either in a private or public way. So in other words, institutions will have control over blockchain design, the token economics that they choose, and also keep the compliance they need. And that's something that's very important going forward in order to allow institutions, financial institutions, to adopt blockchain technology.
That's great. I mean, that dovetails into the next question I have, right? Which is, I think we've heard about the theme, the enterprises are coming to the blockchain, financial services companies are coming to the blockchain for quite a number of years now. And the one thing that really intrigued me recently was when I saw that Avalanche launched and introduced the Avalanche Evergreen Subnet. Can you tell us a little bit more about
that? Absolutely. In capital markets, from my experience, and companies in capital markets, financial services firms, what they want from a blockchain is basically, to summarize, two things: liquidity and basically efficiency. So the Evergreen subnets is basically, Evergreen is a family of subnets. The first one that was announced was the Spruce subnet in line with, pine trees and evergreens. And the Spruce subnet is a very, very, I think, interesting thing because we have partners in there such as Wellington, T. Rowe, Wisdom Tree, Cumberland, and also Aave, Uniswap, the traditional DeFi dApp players. But everything is done in a way that is compliant, meaning AML, KYC. So this subnet is only permissioned by the gates of KYC, AML, and possibly accreditation. To be clear though, this is using a valueless token right now because rules and regulations in the US still had to become clearer, but it's the ideal sandbox for firms, these asset managers, to explore and really understand what institutional DeFi or DeFi can be. In my seat, I have the fortune to talk to, I'm fortunate to be talking to a lot of these asset managers and banks, and they really want to know what DeFi is and see the benefits of composability in terms of development and see how an open ecosystem and interoperability can really happen, but they can't do it. So doing it in this sandbox method allows them all to participate. And it's not necessarily a prescriptive solution. It's a way that we can all work to getting a solution so everyone can get the benefits of decentralized finance, but done in a compliant and regulatory satisfactory way.
That's super interesting. I mean, the other thing that sort of strikes me as interesting is sort of, the timing of which, I'm sure they've been looking at blockchain for the last, 4 or 5 years, and they're starting to kind of slowly play in a sandbox that they can experiment and the like. Timing is interesting in the sense that obviously, we're in a lull in the cycle in crypto. Clearly, this does not impact them at all. I'm curious, when you talk to them, how they think about their activities and their experiments vis-a-vis what's happening in sort of the larger crypto ecosystem that we know and love.
Right. As I said earlier, part of the mission of Ava Labs to try to tokenize a lot of real world assets on. So that means working with financial institutions. And I have to answer that question based on geography. And in the US, the blockchain technology is being adopted by a lot of players in the institutional finance spectrum. You've probably all heard of, JP Morgan and doing the JP Morgan Guardian coin, which is basically similar to Spruce, but it's done in the Monetary Authority of Singapore's sandbox. So again, providing that safe space where people can experiment without tripping any rules, if you will. Now, other firms, the ones that we're working with immediately, at least right now, they wanted that same safe space. So they want to see the benefits of blockchain technology, the efficiencies in automating the workflow, the lack of lag settlement, so you can untrap capital, but also the potential to take advantage of open development. So all of those things they can't do unless they have a safe space. And in terms of the US versus Asia versus Europe, I think with MiCA, European financial firms our conversations have accelerated. In the US, true, they probably slowed down a bit after all the drama from FTX and all of that. But as Spruce and other things that we're doing, we can talk about throughout this presentation, you'll see that they want to continue to innovate. They just want to do it in a safe space.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's awesome. And I mean, Avalanche seems to be on the roll because I think the other talking about new enterprise solution, right? One of the other things that I think you guys rolled out recently is Ava Cloud. And there are a number of brand name companies, if I recall correctly, such as Deloitte, SK, and Shrapnel. That was announced during the summit. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So we talked about Subnet. Subnet is the ability to spin up your own, call it custom blockchain to the execution environment you desire. If you're a gaming company, you need high throughput, lots of transactions. If you're a Deloitte or a large enterprise, you need different specs. If you're a financial institution, you need different specs. So what Ava Cloud is actually a very comprehensive and advanced tool set that allows these firms to launch a blockchain end to end. It allows for interoperability with the rest of the ecosystem. Avalanche is also compatible with Ethereum. One day assets can move all over in a multi-chain world. But the importance here is it allows them to easily launch. You don't have to hire a whole team of, call it technologists who know how to code in Solidity or how to work in a blockchain environment. It's almost like Wix or Shopify for e-commerce. It allows you to basically de-risk and simplify the launching of a custom blockchain because the tools are there for you already. The features are there for you. It's almost, it's not as easy as drag and click, but it definitely gives you speed to market to launch a blockchain, and it makes it easier for you to launch a blockchain.
You don't have to, it sounds like they don't have to piece together and almost like, they building the stack themselves and you essentially presenting them like, here is the standardized stack that would fit your needs so that they can take it to the market much faster, shorten time to market.
Yes, it's very eloquent. The common thread for various verticals and different types of blockchains is that they all will get faster time to market, less implementation risk, and they get service level SLA guarantees working with us. In fact, some of them are getting to market in under a month. Let me talk about some of the features so I can talk about this so it shines more light for everyone. Yeah. Some of the features here in the Ava Cloud is one thing would be what we call the automated blockchain builder. Think about this as a no-code portal. Customers will get the benefit of a dedicated infrastructure team at Ava Labs. They'll receive 27 technical support to manage and maintain the network, but it's literally a portal. You get to click and drag the features you want and prioritize that. Processing power, if you're a high transaction throughput one, or if you want fewer validators because you need to have a consortium in a permission kind of way. It allows you to permission or permissionless, but with the interoperability when you want that, if it's a permission thing. Other features are managed validators. We provide automated installation and scaling so that you can have the security and validate with the Avalanche, consensus protocol. So these are all built in to ensure optimal performance. Then I think, the third thing, and there's 4 of them, the third is a comprehensive data tool. So if you want to save blockchain data resource costs and provide access to like a lot of data from across the entire Avalanche network and Ethereum to power your NFTs or to get data from DEXs and more, the comprehensive data tool sets allow you to choose what you want so you can get that, the necessary data. And then ultimately, I think one huge feature will be interoperability. All of these subnets, it's like an ecosystem of blockchains, can talk to each other, can transfer assets, and ultimately they can even go to Ethereum if that's so desired. So I think it's a very powerful next step for the evolution of using blockchains, making it easier for people to use blockchains. Waikit, you probably remember in the old days, if you wanted to roll up a website or roll up e-commerce capabilities before Shopify or Wix, it was very hard to do. You had to hire Accenture or someone to come in, and a team of people coding in HTML took months and high costs in order to do it. Suddenly now you have a more do-it-yourself friendly environment.
Yeah, it's enterprise-grade blockchain that gives you, operating leverage.
That's right.
Yeah. Moving on a little bit more to sort of the gaming side of things, you guys and Alibaba Cloud, I recall, had a partnership also recently in the metaverse space. What is that about?
Oh, it is a very interesting and incredible partnership. I don't have to tell you that Alibaba is a leading cloud platform in Asia. They say they're probably like 3rd or 4th largest in the world. They have an amazing Web3 team focused on solutions for companies, and they have access to thousands of companies. So it is actually a very interesting and creative way where Alibaba, ourselves, and a third party called Moderator, which is a service layer implementation team, basically have created tools and stuff for what they call a cloudverse. It's a metaverse solution, and builders on this cloudverse will receive support for visuals, meta economics, interactive functions, events. If you want to have an event in the metaverse, and many other operational efficiencies built on top of the Avalanche blockchain. So each, call it, space inside this metaverse can be ready for business in about a month or 2. And then what they're doing is it's a fantastic way to get users. Alibaba has deep reach with a lot of retailers, whether it's, hotels, gaming companies, or consumer product companies. And then the great technologies, the integration of users, companies, technology, and providing them an environment that they can create events, whether it be a concert, or just using space to actually market and advertise who they are. It's another extension of their marketing arm in a virtual world. And I think Alibaba, given all of their relationships, especially Ali Cloud, is someone that can actually make this really work because they already have the relationships.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that just sounds like that's a, sort of pipes you guys into, so many merchants that they can easily spin up, and that they, when they're really on Ali Cloud. So,
yeah, I mean, obviously the metaverse have been
yeah.
pretty, popular in the US, and this is an Asian audience. You can tell me, according to Alibaba and our research, the online activity or quasi metaverse or, some version of metaverse is even more popular in Asia than it is in the US. Plus Asia has all these super apps. So there's a lot of users who are used to a very online centric experience, probably more so than even the US.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of like, live shopping experiences that are very different, right? Big in China, not so much here. I don't think like sort of the cone of possibilities that you guys can enable for merchants and also through Alibaba. Now, speaking of merchants, the other thing, we all have an interesting theme here, because this, I would not have thought about this until I read the announcement too, here, where you guys have integrated, Avalanche NFTs on Shopify through Venly. How does that impact, I'm trying to kind of piece together, how does that impact merchants, and what opportunities does that open up for Shopify's merchants?
So let me explain the mechanics, and then I'll talk about the benefits. The mechanics are simple. Shopify, one of the largest e-commerce enabling software companies out there, they have literally 1 million merchants that are on the Shopify e-commerce platform. And their goal is to help those merchants on the Shopify platform create more loyalty and engagement with their existing customers, the merchants' customers, that is. And they want to create an end-to-end solution where their merchants can easily create, issue, and transfer NFTs for their users in order to create that engagement. Venly, just like in the Alibaba Cloud situation, is an intermediary, providing functionality at a different, higher level. Like, Avalanche is the deep bottom layer systems platform, and then Venly is creating tools to allow the integration into the merchants of Shopify. But the ultimate end goal is to allow these merchants, and now I'm getting to the benefit part, which is allowing them to have more direct engagement with their consumers. What we're seeing in the US, at least, is a lot of merchants or CPG, consumer product groups, and call it it's all things with the brand, almost any consumer product. They are more and more thinking about, how do I get direct, big theme here is direct to consumer, DTC. So with DTC, they're thinking about, how do I get more access to that data? And the benefit of the data of the consumer is, instead of having to pay Google, Facebook, whomever, an intermediary, an advertising intermediary, to reclaim your customers every time there's a new feature or a new event or a new version or something that comes out, suddenly they can directly connect with their consumers. They've been doing that in a different way, but now with an NFT, they can give them things, help them engage, cut off the 30% of revenue that they have to reacquire customers. They're also finding out that these existing customers are also the lowest in terms of customer acquisition of new customers. And then the existing customers also spend, and because they're engaged with this, they actually spend even more share of their wallet. So it allows merchants to really connect in so many new ways. Reality is, each merchant has different business benefits, and they're all exploring what's the best for themselves. Some of them even abstract away the NFTs, and it's all about a loyalty program. But the point is, they are using blockchain technology to increase their engagement with their community, and also to basically think about gain the data so they don't have to reacquire the data effectively every time through marketing.
That's awesome. I mean, I know you guys, OGs in layer ones, and you guys are deep in, a lot of crypto native applications. And I think one of the theme that I'm sensing here is, you guys are also starting to push and have a bunch of big brands in sort of real life applications, right? I think, we hear a lot about like, what are the use cases, right? Beyond, moving, digital assets around and things like that's within Web3. But a cool thing here is, I'm seeing a lot of touch points and threads into different real life applications, big markets, and different geographies too, right? Not just, Western, but also in China. Super exciting.
Well, let me comment on that because, the crypto native community is very important to Ava Labs and to Avalanche. As we know, that community is experimental. They're willing to try new things. They have a different style of development. And frankly, it's a great R&D pool, if you will. And a lot of great new features, functionality are all done in the crypto native on-chain environment. So everything we just talked about in terms of there's DeFi for asset managers, or creating NFTs as a function for enhancing loyalty programs, or using it for ticketing. We talk about that. We have partnerships there as well. That's all based off of now what people have seen through the last cycle of what crypto native people can benefit. And these larger companies and business models are saying, how do we enhance our business with those, newer businesses or newer business models, and how do we take advantage of it? That is literally an empowering, proactive, aggressive move to try to improve existing businesses. But I also have to say, some of the biggest benefits of blockchain is really behind the scenes. And it is about workflow automation. It is about, a more improved system, especially in financial services. Financial services has been built on 40-year-old tech stacks and 100-year-old rules in the US in terms of regulation. So it's become layered and layer upon layer. And there's always friction when you add too many layers. So there's really, to summarize, the crypto native applications have shown a lot of the traditional enterprises what potential can be done with new business models or creative ways of thinking about businesses. And then the immediate benefits are the workflow automation, faster settlement, all the things that you get from the actual underlying blockchain technology.
Yeah, no, this is great. John, thank you for taking us through some of the newer recent developments with Avalanche. And I think we're out of time now. And thank you again for your time. And thank you.
Thank you. Always glad to be here.